Deep beneath the surface, where darkness reigns and pressure mounts, humanity's quest to carve through the earth has often come at a terrible cost. From massive machines grinding to a halt miles underground, to tragic collapses that swallowed entire crews, tunnel boring projects have pushed engineering and human endurance to their breaking point. These are some of the most catastrophic tunnel boring disasters in history, each serving as a grim reminder of the dangers that lurk beneath our feet. Number 5. Sylmar Tunnel Explosion, 1971, Los Angeles, USA. In the early hours of June 23, 1971, the construction of the Sylmar Tunnel for the San Fernando Power Project in Los Angeles turned into a nightmare. The tunnel, stretching deep into the San Gabriel Mountains, was designed to carry water through more than 5 miles of hard rock. But as crews worked hundreds of feet underground, an accumulation of methane gas ignited, likely triggered by a welding torch or a spark from machinery. The explosion ripped through the confined space with devastating force, sending shockwaves through the entire tunnel system. Workers were thrown from scaffolds, and rescue crews struggled to reach survivors amid intense heat, smoke, and toxic fumes. Several men suffered severe burns and injuries, while others perished in the inferno before help could arrive. The blast underscored the deadly risks of gas buildup in subterranean construction, where even a single spark can mean catastrophe. In the aftermath, investigators determined that poor ventilation and a lack of adequate gas detection systems had contributed to the disaster. The tragedy prompted significant reforms in tunnel safety standards across California, including stricter requirements for methane monitoring and emergency evacuation plans. The Sylmar explosion remains one of the darkest moments in Los Angeles' engineering history, marking a turning point in how deep earth construction is managed. For many workers, it served as a haunting lesson that the most invisible dangers, odorless gases, and unseen pressures, are often the most lethal. To this day, the Sylmar Tunnel stands as both an engineering achievement and a solemn memorial to the men who lost their lives creating it. Number 4. Vierzy Tunnel Disaster, 1972, France. On June 16, 1972, a section of the Vierzy railway tunnel in northern France collapsed, setting off one of the deadliest rail disasters in French history. Built during the 19th century, the tunnel was undergoing structural repairs when a portion of its vault suddenly gave way. Moments later, 2 passenger trains entered the tunnel from opposite ends, unaware of the devastation ahead. The first slammed into the fallen debris, derailing instantly, while the second collided head-on with the wreckage of the first, compounding the destruction. The confined space amplified the chaos. Twisted steel, shattered carriages, and thick smoke filled the tunnel as terrified passengers struggled to escape. Rescue efforts were hampered by the tight quarters and the instability of the remaining structure, forcing crews to dig through rubble by hand. When the dust settled, 108 people were dead and over 240 injured, making it one of France's most horrifying accidents underground. The tragedy revealed how fragile tunnel infrastructure can be when maintenance lapses or design weaknesses go unchecked. Engineers later discovered that decades of water seepage and vibration had weakened the brick lining, and the repair methods being used at the time may have actually worsened the instability. The Vierzy disaster spurred a nationwide review of France's aging tunnel systems and led to stricter regulations for inspection and reinforcement. Beyond its technical lessons, the event had a human toll that lingered for years, a nation grieving not just the victims, but also the realization that progress had been built on unsafe foundations. Even today, memorials near the tunnel's entrance remind travelers of the lives lost and the price paid to make underground travel safer. Number 3. Bertha Tunnel Breakdown, 2013 to 2017, Seattle, USA. When Seattle launched its ambitious Alaskan Way Viaduct Replacement project, the star of the show was Bertha, the world's largest tunnel boring machine at 57.5 feet in diameter. Designed to carve a 1.7-mile tunnel beneath downtown Seattle, Bertha began her work in July 2013 with great fanfare. But just 1,083 feet into the dig, disaster struck. The machine abruptly ground to a halt after striking an 8-inch steel pipe left over from an old groundwater test well. damaging its main bearing seal and flooding critical components with mud and debris. For 2 years, Bertha sat motionless underground as engineers scrambled to design a rescue plan. A massive 120-foot-deep recovery pit had to be excavated to lift the front of the machine for repairs, a task as monumental as building the tunnel itself. The delay cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars, turning the project into a political and engineering embarrassment. Despite the setback, crews eventually repaired Bertha and restarted tunneling in December 2015, finally breaking through in April 2017. Yet by then, the project was years behind schedule and billions over budget. Critics called it a symbol of overconfidence in technology and poor planning, while supporters hailed the eventual completion as a triumph of perseverance. The incident highlighted the vulnerability of even the most advanced machines when faced with unpredictable underground conditions. It also reinforced the importance of thorough subsurface mapping and redundancy planning for large-scale urban tunneling. Bertha's breakdown may not have claimed lives, but it served as a cautionary tale about how small oversights in preparation can bring colossal machinery and entire cities to a standstill. Number 2. Telangana Tunnel Collapse, 2025, Nagarkurnool, India. In February 2025, the Sri Sailam Left Bank Canal Tunnel in Telangana became the scene of a devastating collapse that shocked India. The tunnel, part of an irrigation project meant to deliver water to parched regions, was still under construction when the ground above gave way. A torrent of mud, rock, and water surged into the tunnel, trapping 8 workers, engineers and laborers, hundreds of feet below the surface. As emergency crews rushed to the site, the scale of the disaster became clear. Unstable geology, heavy water pressure, and inadequate reinforcement had combined in a deadly chain reaction. Despite continuous rescue efforts, only 2 bodies were recovered, and 6 workers remain missing, presumed dead. Families waited in anguish for weeks as teams drilled boreholes to search for signs of life, but the conditions made rescue almost impossible. The collapse drew national attention to India's growing infrastructure ambitions and the safety compromises that sometimes accompany them. Experts criticized the lack of proper geological surveys and emergency preparedness, pointing out that the tunnel's location in a waterlogged zone made it especially vulnerable. Investigations revealed that safety alarms and backup escape routes were insufficient for a project of this scale. In response, the government promised reforms and stricter oversight of deep earth construction projects. But for the families of those who vanished underground, no policy could fill the void left by their loved ones. The Telangana Tunnel disaster stands as a sobering example of how the race for progress can turn tragic when safety takes a backseat to speed and ambition. Number 1. Hawks Nest Tunnel Disaster, 1930 to 1935, West Virginia, USA. Few tunnel projects in history have inflicted as much human suffering as the Hawks Nest Tunnel in Gauley Mountain, West Virginia. Built to divert the New River for a hydroelectric plant, the tunnel's construction seemed straightforward at first, until workers began drilling through rock that was nearly pure silica. Thousands of laborers, mostly African American migrants, were forced to work without protective gear as dust filled the air. Within months, many began coughing up blood and struggling to breathe, victims of acute silicosis caused by inhaling microscopic silica particles. Company officials ignored their complaints and even withheld medical care to keep the project moving. By the time the tunnel was completed, an estimated 476 to over 1,000 workers were dead, making it one of the deadliest industrial tragedies in American history. The Hawks Nest disaster exposed the shocking disregard for worker safety during the early 20th century. No explosion or collapse caused the deaths. It was greed, negligence, and a lack of basic humanity. Investigations revealed that management had known about the dangers but failed to implement ventilation systems or masks. Public outrage eventually led to hearings in Congress and new labor laws aimed at protecting miners and construction workers from dust exposure. The tunnel, still operational today, stands as a chilling monument to those who perished carving it from the mountain. More than just an engineering tragedy, Hawks Nest became a moral lesson about the cost of progress built on human suffering and the importance of valuing lives over deadlines. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Until next time.